Good morning, everyone. Um, Today we'll be talking about computer intelligence. So, computer intelligence is a broad field in computer science that actually relates about everything that has to do with the machine having the ability to depict human behavior. So today we are going to start with artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, which is short form for AI, was actually a field that was implemented in 1956. Okay, but from that period on, we didn't hear too much about artificial intelligence because it was just getting to be a known fact, and the amount of data around at that time was very limited. It was very small compared to what we have now. Okay, so after the inception of artificial intelligence, computer scientists decided to go in depth and look for more things to do. So they now came up with the knowledge of machine learning. So machine learning has to simply do with the machine having the ability to learn through statistical methods. Okay, so this was implemented in the year 1980, 1981 to be precise. Then after that, more recently, we've been hearing talks about deep learning. The short form of deep learning, the short form of deep learning is just DL. So we just want to go through very short and precise definitions of artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is just the science and engineering of making intelligent machines that have the ability to achieve goals as human beings can perform. Now, for instance, human being can move objects in their hands. Human being can visualize pictures and differentiate if this picture it follows what you have. So all those goals that human beings can do, those behaviors, those performance, the ability of the machine to actually depict them through some form of intelligence is what we call artificial intelligence. Then for machine learning, machine learning is just a field of study that gives computers the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. That means I don't have to write long bunch of code to tell the computer, okay, I want you to do this at a particular time, I want you to do this at a particular time. So the computer is just given the free room, or limited, be more precise, limited free room to learn from statistical data. Then the other one on the list is deep learning. So deep learning is computers way of emulating neural network of the brain to achieve its goal. So we'll talk more on neural networks and artificial neurals later on. So for machine learning, sorry, for AIs can be loosely interpreted as to mean the cooperation of human intelligence to machine. So human intelligence in what form? So human intelligence in terms of having to achieve things that humans we want to do explicitly. For example, I want to pick up a call. For example, I want to play a chess game. Or for example, I want to arrange pictures in a particular order or pictures belonging to a particular category. So that's a loose definition of AI. Now, how AI achieves this is by it perceives its environment and takes action to maximize its success at achieving such goal. So for example, imagine when you were a baby and you wanted to recognize a box or a square. Okay, so what happened was that your parents had to give you lots of objects that looks like square for you to be able to know that, okay, next time when I see this in the future, I'm going to know that this is actually a box or this actually is a square. So in that form, the AI depicts that behavior. So it's able to perceive its environment and takes action to maximize the chance of being successful at that area. So another example is imagine a chess game. You must have heard of some machines being able to play chess games and some other type of games. So initially, you might be able to beat your computer over some time in playing the chess game, but he learns from those failures it has had and he learns from the successes it has had. So with those successes and failures, it's able to reconstruct itself and say, okay, so for this next chess game, I'm not going to go through this, I'm not going to go through this strategy, I'm going to follow this other strategy based on what I've had in the past. So that's how AI is able to perceive its environment and take actions to maximize its success. The next one is there are actually two types of, or two main branches in AI, or let me say two main types of AI. There's a general AI, which is having to solve general problems. So general problems like, okay, I want to know the amount of powder in this room, or I want to be able to make an order by sitting in my house. So an intelligent machine just helps you do that. So that's in general form. Then there's another one called the narrow intelligence. So narrow intelligence has to do with doing specific tasks. So the AI is just programmed to just do specific tasks. An example of narrow intelligence is what you have in Pinterest. So for Pinterest, you're able to upload a picture and the picture automatically falls in a particular category. So that's a specific rule, or that's narrow intelligence. Why? Because now Pinterest has been able to narrow down that particular types of categorizing pictures into different groups or into different categories. So now the next question should be why AI? Why is AI so prominent? Why are we having to talk about AI all of a sudden? So now AI adds intelligence. Now, how does AI add intelligence? Now, remember I gave you the brief summary of having to play a chess game with a computer. So it's able to learn and add intelligence to itself such that it's not going to make those same mistakes it did in the previous two games it has played. So let's say I played 5 games. So it must have learned throughout those 5 games that, okay, I'm not going to go through this particular strategy. So it adds intelligence to itself. The next point is incredible accuracy. So the more AI builds itself, the more accurate it gets. So its level of error reduces. Another point is that AI adapts progressively. So it's just still talking about intelligence. So AIs are able to adapt to their environment based on what has happened. Now, AI is also analyzed deeper into data. That is, for example, AI can reconstruct data to see how far its success rate can go. The next point is that AI automates learning. So after you must have played the game with this AI, it's going to automate itself to say, okay, I'm going to filter out these failure methods that have happened or these failure results that have happened. Then next time I'm going to filter out this success data or this success group that I've had. So that means when next I'm playing, I'm only going to deal with success for having to win my opponent, and I will try not to follow the strategy, or I will try not to follow the path of failure. Then last point is that AIs get the most out of data. So for human beings, there is a level to which you can process some amount of data. And of course, you know, we need, every human being needs a machine to process a very, very large amount of data. So machines help us get the most out of a very large amount of data. So the next is machine learning. So machine learning is actually a subset that it's contained in artificial intelligence. So machine learning is an approach to achieve a more successful artificial intelligence. So secondly, machine learning gives the computer the ability to learn without being programmed. So for those of us that write codes here, you know that for most of our codes, if you want to achieve something, you go through different routines, a large amount of routines to get things done or to get things fixed. But for machine learning, it doesn't go through that same route. I'll still give a brief summary of route a machine learning model goes through. So machine learning is also divided into supervised and unsupervised learning. So from the English definition, supervised is when you sit people down and okay, make them go through a particular routine to get your goals done. So for supervised learning is you get your data and define an input, also an output for it to get processed or to get your model to learn what you want to do. So that means I have an input and I'm expecting an output. So I just feed those to the model and the model is able to behave in a certain way or is able to predict in a certain manner. Then there's unsupervised learning. So for unsupervised learning, we just give it the input, then the machine learning model is able to see patterns in that particular data set you have given to it or in that particular input you have given to it. So for regular codes or for regular routines that you build, so what we have is that you have your input, you supply your program, then your codes absorb your input and your knowledge, that's your strategy for implementing this input, and lastly gives you an output. But for machine learning models, it takes in your input, takes in your output, it absorbs it and gives you a program. Yeah, that's it. So you give it an input, give it an output, like what you're expecting, and it creates a model for you, which is this program you have here. So for deep learning, so deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So like I said previously, machine learning is a subset of AI, and now, sorry, deep learning is going to be deep learning. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. So in a sense, deep learning was made or it was created such as to treat a particular branch of deep learning, sorry, a particular branch of machine learning. So in a sense, it helps us to fine-tune some specific areas of machine learning. Now, deep learning takes in the concept of the brain's neural network. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, for a human being, when we see any object, let's take for instance a vision. When we see any object, now our eyes is able to capture it. Then the neurons and the senses and the parts to our brain sends this information or picture to our brain. Then the neurons in our brain are able to arrange themselves through different connections that, okay, so this image is meant to look like this. Then connections for color neurons also come in and say, okay, these are the colors I'm able to pick from this picture. Then some other shape neurons that have some connection together will come together and say, okay, this is the shape of this picture. Okay, is it either portrait or is it landscape? So together, all these neurons arrange themselves and they're able to tell you that, okay, this is how the picture looks like. Or for example, when you want to pick up an object, so the senses in your hands is able to pick up the object. So now it depends on what you want to do. So do you want to feel if the object is hot or cold? Or do you want to feel if the object is heavy or it's light? So if you are checking if the object is heavy or light, there are neurons that sends message to the brain that, okay, oh, this object you are carrying has this particular weight and it's something you can carry based on the calculation between the weight of the object and your body weight. So deep learning just has what we call artificial neurons. So these artificial neurons have data connections around them, connecting to all these artificial neurons, and they are able to work the same way the brain works. So deep learning actually learns deep into whatever data you feed into it. So first, let's take a general example of having a square. So first of all, how do you know it's a square? First of all, you know it's a shape. So how do you know it's a square? So first of all, you define it by the number of sides. 2, if those sides are equal. 2, if there's a diagonal that the diagonals are equal. So for the computer, when you feed it images of a square or other objects, and you want to define whether those features, there are squares in it. So what it does is that it goes on a very broad level and arranges those pictures that are there. So first of all, it screens out those pictures that are clear and are not clear. So it now moves up another level, just like recursion. For those of us that write codes, recursion means that you have a long problem and you want to beat it down into different parts, into different simpler parts. So that is what the machine does by learning GPT of data. So it breaks down the problem into simpler parts till it's able to achieve its goal. Then it's able to get more information. Obviously, from digging deep into your data, it's able to get more information from your data. So in summary, what have we said? So first of all, we said that AI is human intelligence exhibited by machines. That's what we said. Secondly, we said that deep learning is a subset of machine learning, and machine learning is a subset of AI. Next, we said that machine learning is actually a branch of AI that makes AI itself better. We've also said that deep learning is a branch of machine learning that makes machine learning also better. Then lastly, we said that AI takes action that maximizes its chance of being successful at any goal you ask it to do or achieving any implementation you've passed across it. So that's the end of the tutorial. Is there any questions? Yeah. Yes. 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 Okay. Deep learning can be infused in both of them. Yes.
So you mentioned that AI machine learning is trying to mimic human brain or human.
Yeah, human behavior.
So are we considering gut feeling when designing AI?
Are we considering what?
Gut feeling. And the decision that human takes out of those gut feeling, and it's the right decision actually.
Okay.
For example, there are some chess games to play, and you don't make a very stupid move, but that move is the move that will make you win.
Okay.
So I'll be considering that. Yeah, at the end of the day, you can say AI will take over jobs and everything. What feelings come to it? Are you considering that?
So implementation of God feed is something that is still being worked on. So if you check new advancements in neural technology, they are able to give optimum guesses or an radical behavior, but it's not still how humans are able to do that, because humans are perfect beings, almost perfect beings, more than machines. Okay, so it's still something that is being worked on.
So, sorry, in all your sets, you were to bring in data science,
Okay.
right? Where would you fix data science?
In all I've discussed. Okay, I'll fit in data science in machine learning, in broad sense. Why? Because, like I said, machine learning is having to apply statistical methods into data so as to achieve whatever you want to achieve or to achieve a goal. Okay, so if you look at the broad overview of data science in itself, so data science has to do with the same thing, bringing your data in, passing it into your model. It's what you want, what you know, and an output that you want. So it gives you a model you can. Is that?
That's in the supervised.
Yes, it is supervised. Then in the unsupervised, you just get out the pattern of how your data looks like. So, for example, if there are crimes in this part of the country, so unsupervised is able to tell you a particular pattern. So, is the level of crime concentrated in this region, or is the level of crime scattered in this region? So that's what unsupervised is able to tell you.
In addition, sorry. Okay, in addition, data science is the same with AI. Because AI is not all about machine learning and deep learning. We have machine learning processes here, right?
Yes.
And it's also data science. The process data, the data you give us, you want to convert your own global language to data. So we process it and convert it to English and everything. So natural language is data science. Right? And they all fall under so AI is data science.
Not the other way around. I thought data science is the name for the entire field. So inside data science is AI, ML, DL, all of those things.
Finance, data is
Sorry, that's my understanding. I may be wrong. That's right. Because I think you mix it up. My own understanding is that when I say data science, I've encapsulated everything that you have spoken about.
No,
That's my own understanding. I may be wrong.
okay.
Right? So correct me.
Okay, so data science is a field of computer science. Okay, now AI is under that flow pattern. It's just like you can make a circle. So computer science encapsulates everything, followed by data science, followed by AI,
So
then
AI
followed by
is inside data science.
yes. But you applying machine learning for whatever subset you have, still you can still say you're applying some levels or some degree of data science. So that's it.
um,
Because they're I was going to spend one hour in the